Hello, and welcome to another night of moving and grooving. I hope you are all well, and we have lights, and we have lighter leggings. That's when you know the weather's getting a bit warmer, right? You can actually wear your lighter clothes. Tonight, if you haven't already, grab yourself a stack of books, or if you happen to have any blocks at home, grab some blocks like this, preferably the phone blocks. And then we want at least, I would say, 3-4 hardback books. So I have bigger books here, so you don't want like a little chapter book, but you want like quite big A4 size hardback books, okay? And I will say a mat, as ever, if you have a mat, but it's never a big deal if you don't have a mat. And also some blanket or cushioning for your knees, potentially, when we come to do our lunge flow, and when we also come onto pressurizing the knees, it might be more comfy to have some extra padding for your knees. Otherwise, I think that's that. We shall get going, okay? So we're gonna start, no books, we're gonna start standing. You're gonna bring your feet into the width of your hip bones, and we're gonna take just a classic roll down. So before we take the classic roll down, we're going to really ground our weight down through our heels and really think about stretching your toes and anchoring your toes once they're stretched into the mat, anchoring them down. So you might just want to take a moment, look down to your toes, pick up all your toes, all 5 toes on each of your 2 feet. That was a joke, bad joke. And then separate the toes, trying to create a bit of airspace between the toes, and then land the weight down onto the toes by really stretching and then anchoring them down onto your mats. Feet in parallel position, push down through the heels, lengthen and strengthen the weight down through the toes. We're going to take a roll down, so bringing the chin in. And just pause here for a moment, just to tap into how the muscles around the upper shoulders feel. I know my upper trapezius, which is that muscle around the upper shoulders on me, can feel quite tight and wound up. So just take a moment to breathe into any tightnesses, any tensions around the upper shoulders. And then keep grounding down through your heels, stretching down through your toes. You're going to continue that roll down. As you roll down, you're going to peel the spine up and over the legs, bending the knees if you need to, especially if you feel the hips ease back in space. Yeah, like so. Keep your hips on top of your heels, your hip bones on top of your heels. Roll out, roll out, roll out. Once you get to where you can, or if you can today, you're going to take a hold of either elbow in either hand and keep cupping the hands in the elbows and allow the weight of your arm bones, the weight of the head, to really encourage the back to suspend and hang heavier in space. Keep shifting the weight a little bit more into the forefoot, into the fronts of your feet. Let's take 2 more big rounds of breath into where you feel stretch, letting the arm bones really encourage the back to hang heavier over those legs. 1 more breath. And then rolling on up through the spine, keep cupping the hands to the elbows, peel your way up, peel your way up, peel your way up. Keep cupping the hands into the elbows, and then rise the elbows up overhead. So you skim that top forearm just over the hair area. And we're going to go into some torso circles from here. So you're going to soften the knees, and you're just going to circle round the hips. Keeping a little bit of pressure through the fingers onto your elbows. Keep grounding down through your heels, pushing and lengthening down through the toes. What you find in our feet is we carry carry so much tension in through the toes, like without even realizing we're contracting up through those metatarsals, which are your toes. And we want to try to really lengthen the toes and release that sort of contraction through the forefoot onto the ground. And we're going to do one more in this direction. Keep the knees easy and soft. And then you're going to change and hug the other elbow with the other hand. Okay? And then we're going to go into those torso circles the other way. T-circles, warming up. Circular movement through the back. Stretching a little bit into those back muscles. So yeah, you guys, you know, if you want to have music on in the background, go for it. For your spine, it's very much about the interplay between movement and music. I like to use music, but what I've been finding is using the music and the copyright issues around using music in a live stream interrupts some pauses in my delivery and in my voice. So I want us to have a smooth running of instructions so it's as easy as can be for you guys to hear. So we'll just do one more in this direction. Let's make this our last one. And then we're going to finish. Keep the hands cupping into those elbows. Go into one more roll down here, draw the chin in, peel up and over. And this time you're going to hang out heavy over the legs, but you're also going to bring a sway into your torso, swing out your torso from one leg to the other. Keep encouraging your back to hang super heavy in space. Head heavy. Really let the weight of the bones of your arms inspire more heaviness through the head and through your back. You can think about a nice gentle lift of the abdomen in and up to your spine. Easy, steady flow of breath. Okay, let's go for just one more each side. And then you're just going to hang over to one leg. You're going to breathe in 2 full breaths in here. And again, full breath into where you feel your stretch. And then swoosh on over to the other side and breathe in here to where you feel your stretch. And one more full breath in. And then come back through center. Breathe in at center to your back. Breathe to your back at center. And then release the weight of the hands. Release the cupping of the elbows. And roll your spine up. Push down through the heels. Stretch down through the toes. Roll up, roll up, roll up. Okay, here we are back in life, in the space. We're going to now go and grab your books, your stack of books. Now, by way of giving us some extra height, because we're going to be standing on them, it's just going to accentuate a bit more of a stretch into your back. So, standing on your stack of books, feeling like the queens of your castles, especially if you're short, like me. It's quite nice to stand on something that lifts you up to more height. Get a feel for how I would look and feel at like 5'6" instead of 5'3". Now from here, we're going to go into the roll down, and the idea is just to get that sense of suspension, that feeling of suspension through the spine and the extra decompressing through the back muscles. So let's go for the roll down, draw the chin in, roll out shoulders, mid-back, lower spine, and then hopefully you're stacked up enough where you are feeling the hang of the arms, the reach down through the fingers, over the front edge of those books. If you're not feeling the sense of suspension, you may want to go grab another 1, 2 books. and stack them up a little higher. Think about your bum bones, which sit at the base of the pelvis. Okay, the base of the pelvis, really lift up those bum bones, keep hanging loose down over those legs. I've stepped off my books, but you stay where you are. Hang heavy. And then take one more big breath into your back. And then roll your spine up. Okay, now guys, from here we're going to use the books as sort of like our own DIY step machine, right? You know, in those step aerobics classes, they have the step, the piece of equipment. This is kind of our book step. What we're going to do to get a little bit of opening around the front of the hip, we're going to go into a pseudo lunge, okay? So you're going to bring one leg behind you and keep the front foot onto the book and bend that front knee and push that back hip rather forwards in space. Feel the stretch along the top of the thigh, hopefully into the front of the hip. More so if you're tighter in that area, you'll feel it. And then you're going to come back to stand into that parallel frame of your feet, both feet on the books, and then go to the other side. So this front foot's going to slightly bend. You're prodded onto the toes of the back foot and you're surging, really surge your back hip forwards. If you kind of do nothing with that back hip, you won't feel a stretch along the front of the thigh and hip. So really surge that back hip forwards. Make sure you've got a decent grip, right, on your books. If they're the glossy type, it might be a little difficult, a little trickier, so do be careful here. And then standing back into that parallel frame. Let's do one more of these on each side. So stepping off, keeping that front knee somewhat bent, push that back hip forwards, enough so you access that stretch, yeah? And then coming to stand, balancing for a moment onto the books. And we'll go last time to the other side, stepping down. So this might work better. If you're not feeling the stretch, you might want to stack up again the books. You want to make sure the back toes are touching and press down into the floor. Surge that back hip forwards. And then come up to stand. Okay, so we're going to do this again. Want us to be really careful because we're going to mix in a roll down, hanging off the books, toes towards the front edge of the books, roll up, stepping back. We're getting super creative into that hip flex stretch, stepping up to the balance. Please do make sure, you know, you're not slipping and sliding and shucking and jiving on that top book. So you might want to get a book that's a bit more, it doesn't have so much sheen going on. And then you go for the roll down again. You roll up and then we keep changing, right? From one leg to the other. Pushing that back hip forwards. Coming to step up, roll out and over the legs. Feel that openness in your back, stretching through the backs of your legs too, and then rolling on up, and then stepping off, pushing and driving that back hip forwards in space, coming to stand, and then rolling out over the legs, breathing into the back, rolling on up, and then stepping off into that hip flex, lunging stretch. Let's do one more on each side, rolling up and over the legs. Take a check into your toes that they're not gripping, hang loose, breathe into your back muscles. Roll your way up. Come to stand off. Drive that back hip forward, soften a bit of knee bend through the front leg. And then rolling up and over. hanging heavy. And then rolling on up. This is our last one, stepping off the block of books, driving that back hip forward, softening that front knee. And then stepping on. This is our last one. Roll it out, up and over the legs. Hang on heavy. Let's have some hang time here. So stay heavy, heavy in the head, loosey through the back of the neck. Cup the hands in the elbows, one hand in either elbow, and do that little smile sway through the torso, through the arms, from one leg to the other. Keep it small because you are elevated. We don't want to be falling off these books. Keep swaying, feeling those back muscles lengthen out even more now. Couple more. And then come back to center, hang loose, change the clasps. So swap the hand to the other elbow, either hand to other elbows, and then hold here. Breathe to where you feel the stretch. Really keep pushing down through those heels, stretching out through those toes. One more big breath in. And then roll your spine up. Keep cupping the hands to the elbows. Roll up, roll up, roll up. Ha! Bring the hands overhead, the forearms skim out over the top of the head. And then release the hands away from the elbows. Bring the hands to the back of the head. From here, we're going to step off our books. And we're going to go into a standing cat, which I don't think I've done in these sessions before with you guys, but I've definitely done them in my Free Your Spine, the general group. So we're going to do standing cat with the hands behind the head. I will just turn profile so you can check this out from that view. So hands into the head gently makes good friends into the hammock of your hands. A bit of bend into the knees. So our cat, so we strike the tailbone back as we gently push the elbows back in space, opening the chest, lifting the eyes up, stretching the front of your torso. And then we reverse that curve, right? So think about scooting that tailbone under, rounding the lower back, rounding the mid back, around your bra strap area, rounding through the shoulder blades, closing the elbows in towards your face. Keep stretching down through those toes. Make sure they're not going grippy style. Yeah, and then we reverse. Send your tailbone up. Open up. Tummy, ribs, chest, elbows squeeze behind your ears. Eyes lift up. And then reverse that curve. Draw the tailbone under, right? Round through that lower spine, that mid back, that upper spine, the elbows squeeze into your eyes. So with a breath, a little breath play now. Inhale to arch out. Squeeze your shoulder blades into your upper spine there. Exhale to round, draw the tailbone under, round, lower, middle, upper, elbows squeeze it. Should feel nice. Let's do a few more, this slower pace. Inhale to arch the back, opening the front of the spine, opening the chest, the ribs, this abdomen. Exhale to round, draw the tailbone under, open that lower, middle, upper, elbows squeeze in. Now the option is there to stay a little slower, that same pace, or you can pick up the pace. Inhale to arch, exhale to round. Really feel those different sections of your spine, from the base of your back, through to the lower, middle, upper, through to the head, gently moving in the back of the hands. Use your eyes, where your eyes go, your spine will follow. That's why if you see people, walking with their eyes looking down to the street, it's going to affect the posture, looking down to their phones. It's going to affect the posture, bring a bit more of a kyphotic posture, or layman language for that word is a hunchback, and we all want to avoid our hunchbacks, don't we? So how's this feeling? Let's go for another 4, arching and rounding. But of course, take it slower if that works better for you. Couple more. Using the floor, push those heels down, stretch those toes. Your last one, when you round, you're going to round, you're going to round. You're going to release the arms down, come into a half hang, so spill the torso a little further over those legs. Hang, 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 and then bounce, 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 bounce it out. Bebop bounce. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Slightly bending, stretching the legs. Releasing the skin around those arm bones. Releasing the back of the neck. Bounce it out. And then bounce it off to one leg. Have a little groove, a little dance there over the legs. Softening into some knee bend and slightly stretching the legs. And then come on over to the other leg. Off we go to that side. And then come through center. Hang heavy over those legs. And then rolling your spine uppity, uppity, uptown we go. All the way up through the spine. If you live in New York City, we know where uptown is. If we live in London, we come into North London through that spinal roller. North London, where I am. Okay, so let's take the books out of our way if they are in your way like they are with me. We're going to stay standing because it's quite nice, isn't it? We're going to come to a double width of your hips stance with our feet. So easy way to measure that is bring your feet into parallel position. You're going to fan the toes out to 10 and 2 on the clock. Then you're going to train track the heels underneath the toes. And then you're going to go again, fan the toes out to 10 and 2 on the clock. And then heels into train tracks. And then we do one more, roughly, that should be double the width of your hips. Toes to 10 and 2 on the clock. Now from here, we're going to do like a sumo squat, okay? So you're going to gravitate down into your pelvis, send the tailbone straight down through, in between your heels, yeah? And then you're going to slide the hands onto the knees. And then we're going to tip the torso forwards over your legs, over your hips. And then I just want you to stay here for a moment. You're really opening your inner hip area, your inner thigh, your groin. You're really pressurizing, putting your thighs under pressure from the contact of the heels of your hands. You're keeping your knees, take a look and make sure your eye of your kneecap is tracking towards your second, in between your second and third toe. Okay, long through the back. So again, I'll just go profile to you. Long through the back from head to hips, long spine, but diagonally long spine. Okay. And then from here, so we're in a tipped position of our torso. Then we're going to come up, come up, come up, come up. Reach the arms up. Stretch. Make sure you haven't got duck's bottom going like this, especially if you're a bit more lordotic in your lower back. You really want to work that tail end of your spine to draw down in between the heels, right? And then, but we're going to move through from here to tip. Here, energy through those legs to tip. Really push those knees and push down with those hands on the thighs and think about those knees reaching away from one another. Up and forwards. Up, inhale, And exhale, forwards. Let's just go for 4. Reach, long tailbone, high head, and tip. Yeah, you're gonna feel working your legs. 3, reach, long spine, and tip. Keep pushing those knees away from one another. Reach, 2, and tip. Pressurize the hands onto the thighs. And last one, reach, and tip, and stay. Stay there from here, little shoulder goodness. You're going to ease one shoulder down and across the midline, feeling the response through the spine. Spine is slightly coiling around your midline as you draw this either shoulder rather down and pushing down and across the midline in space. Keep those toes released. And keep pushing the hands onto the thighs. We'll go for 4. Opening the groin. 3, 2. Last one each shoulder. 1. Yes, you should feel something in your quads, okay, in your thighs. You're going to parallel the toes now. And we're going to go into a roll down from here into this wider stance. So reach Charlie's Angel style, index fingers together, interlace the fingers, and reach the Charlie points down to the ground, yeah? You're going to draw the chin in, you're going to roll up and over those legs, keep stretching your fingers down to the ground. And then once you get down there, release the head, release the hands, either onto the fingered nail area or flatter hands. Stretching the backs of the legs, shake the head side to side. Shake the head side to side. Okay, and then from here, just gonna heel toe, the feet back underneath the hips and then roll up through the spine. Okay, and now we're gonna come on down to the ground. We're gonna go into the cat flow. So this is when you might want to pad out your knees. If you know you have sensitive kneecaps, definitely pad out your knees. Okay, so we're coming down onto all 4s. Knees underneath the hips, hands spreading like starfish underneath or just in front of the shoulders. So we're going to move straight away into a round back like so. And then we're going to reverse that curve, letting those shoulders slide like slippery bars of soap down into the hips, arching the spine, feeling the separation of the sitting bone area reach away from one another. And you're going to tuck down through the tailbone, through the tailbone, around lower, middle, upper, head. And then reverse that curve, send the base of the spine uptown, lower, middle, upper spine extends. And you can add a breath here. So typically in this movement, we can inhale to extend. We're moving from the base of the spine to initiate the movement, but we are going to have a little exploration time and reverse it so we're leading from the crown of the head. So let's do one more, moving from the base of the spine first, lower, middle, upper, inhale. Exhale, moving from the base of the spine first, lower, middle, upper, focus towards the center. Now, moving from your crowns, from your top of the head, you're going to lift the eyes up first to prompt the neck to extend, and then upper spine, middle, lower spine Don't worry if one part of the back wants to jump in first, that's completely normal. And then you're going to reverse from the top of the head, from your crown. Look towards the center, again, where the eyes go, the spine will follow. Back of the neck flexes, upper spine flexes, middle spine, lower spine. And again, move from your crown, from the top of the head, lift the eyes up first. Slide the shoulders down the back, arch upper, middle, lower. And then again, move from the top of the head, draw the chin in, focus down to the center, round upper, middle, lower. Let's do one more in each direction. Inhale, lift the eyes up, arch, neck, upper middle spine, lower spine, and then again moving from the top of the head, draw the focus to the center, push the shoulder blades away from one another, round upper, middle, lower. That way might feel a little odd just because typically we always move from our base of the spine, but it's good to switch things up. So we're going to move through into, release the spine into an arch back, and then we're going to move into the moving cat. So we're going to round the spine, we're going to shimmy the hips back to the heels, or just shift the hips I should say, back to the heels, lower the forearms down, maybe a little bit hovering style over the mat, or maybe completely planted down into the mat, and then slide the chest through the arms, and then going into that round back. Now as we move through that moving cat, rounding back, I want you today to really pay attention to your shoulder blades. So as you swim the chest through the arms, the shoulder blades are squeezing into the upper spine, and then you push your way up. And then as you push your way into that round back, the shoulder blades are swimming around the sides of the ribs and opening the space up from the shoulder blades to your upper spine. Lower down through those forearms, glide your way through, push your way up, shoulder blades squeeze to the upper spine, and then reverse it. So we get this beautiful protraction of the shoulder blades, which is when they widen off your upper back, and retraction, shoulder blades hugging into that upper spine as you pull your way forwards. We're going to do one more in this direction, round back, lifting the abdomen into the spine here as you round back and shift the hips to the heels, squeezing the shoulder blades into that upper spine as you pull forwards. Now we're going to reverse it. I hope you've got some good tunes happening in your background, because it always helps to give a little bit of nice music melody inspo. We're going to reverse it, okay? We're going to press down, keep those hips high, and then glide the hips back to the heels, and then round your focus up to your center as you pull back from that round back on top of your hands and knees. So elbows are going wide, shoulder blades sandwich into the upper spine as you press down. You slide the hips to the heels, and then as you pull towards your hands, you're opening the shoulder blades off that upper spine area, yeah? So again, we're retracting those shoulder blades here as you press down. Shoulder blades squeeze to the upper spine. You're protracting, you're sending those shoulder blades away from one another as you pull forwards. We're just going to do one more, pressing down, hips high, gliding your way back, hips to heels, rounding your way up, shoulder blades wide. And then let's just have a little sit-stop time so we can just give a breather into our wrists. So sit-stop into child's pose. You can keep the knees wider, of course, if your hips feel a little higher in space. Otherwise, draw the legs in towards the center. Hug your way back into child's pose. Reach the arms either sides of your heels. And just breathe naturally. Let the shoulder blades fall off the back ribs and shoulders drawing down to the ground. Giving some respite into those muscles that live in between your shoulder blades and the upper spine, the mid and lower traps, your rhomboids. We are going to wake those areas up again in a moment, but just have a few more breathing timeouts here. Okie dokie. Now from here, we're going to slide the arms forwards into long reaching puppy pose. You can let the hips stay easing back to your heels. Now we're going to do a little transition thing to come to lie on the ground, but let's see how we go with it. So reach the arms forwards. Again, where your eyes go, your spine follows. So if your eyes are getting lost down in between the arms, it's going to affect this upper back. So I'd like you to lift the eyes towards the fingers so you keep that upper back active. And then basically you're going to pull forwards, and then you're going to lengthen the hips down as you bend the elbows. And then slide the hands back in line with the collarbones. You're going to push up. And then you're going to flex the spine. So the spine's going to round to then shift the hips back to the heels. Focus towards your knees there. Then you're going to lift the eyes through the fingers and you're going to do the same thing. Does this make sense? So the hips stay kissing back to your heels. The eyes look through your fingers. You're going to pull forwards, you're going to pull forwards, you're going to pull forwards. You're going to squeeze your bum cheeks, lengthen the thighs down, bending the elbows to make the descent nice and smooth towards your ground. Then from here, adjust the hands. If the hands are too far forwards, bring them back in line with the collarbones. Push up. And then to send the hips back to the heels, you're going to tuck your tailbone under, flex your back basically, look to your knees, and then ease the hips back to your heels. So it's kind of like the cat, but with the add-on of moving down to the ground. Yeah, we're moving through your two curves of your spine. So again, lifting the eyes through the fingers. You're going to pull forwards. You're going to lower the thighs down, bend the elbows to make it a smooth journey down. Adjust the hands next to the collarbones, push up, and then flex your back. So really think about pushing the waistband up to the ceiling, tucking that tailbone under, flexing and moving the hips back to the heels. We're just going to do this one more time. Look the focus through to your fingers. Pull forwards, squeeze your bum cheeks. You're opening your hips into your mats, into the ground, lower down. Adjust the hands next to the collarbones. Push up and then round, push the floor away, round the spine, look to your knees, and then releasing for a moment. Again, slide the hands back towards your feet, open the knees a bit wider if need be, release, release, release. Breathe into your back, so passive stretch for your spine. Basically, we're not doing anything, but by way of being in the stretch, passive stretch, your back is flexing gently over the hips. Your knees can be as wide as they need to be. You can always cushion the backs of the thighs. Bring a cushion into the backs of the legs if it feels more comfy for your hips and lower back. One more big breath in. And then sliding the arms forwards. From here, we're going to go into the lunge flow. So we did this last week. We're going to keep the eyes focusing through the fingers. You're going to pull forwards and go for a beautiful big step of one foot as you lean the back hip forwards in space. So there's a clear diagonal line from your hip to your back knee. Yeah? And then we're gonna slide back to long reaching puppy pose here. Lift the eyes through the fingers and then pull. Now when I say pull, it's like you've got a bit of stick on your hand and it's stuck down into the mat, and you're thinking about gently pulling that stickiness of the heel of the hand back towards your armpit. And by way of doing that, you traction some connection from the heel of the hand into the tricep area, into the back of the arm. So it's quite nice to get a little bit of activation into the back of the arm. So we go second side, we pull forwards, lunge, dive that back hip forwards in space, and then stepping back. Now let's just do one more of these on each side. So reach the focus through the fingers, pull the hands down and back to the armpit, step, lunge. And then going into long reaching puppy pose, one more time. Pulling forwards, go for the step. And then coming back. Now we go for the variation. The variation being is the moody cat. The moody cat is when you hide out, go on, look to the center, around the back as you travel into the hands, and then you lift the focus to the top end of your mat as you step 1 foot forwards to lunge. Yes, and then from there, again, steps or slide that front foot back. So we get a bit more of a flow going on, which is, you know, a lot of what we like to do here. So we flow into that moody cat. You hug the abdomen into the spine, you round the back, you shift the weight into the hands, and then you step the other foot forwards, lift the chest towards the short end of the mat. And we're just gonna do 4, so 2 more, 1 more on each side. You're gonna pull forwards, but round the spine, push the waistband up, look to your center. And then lift the chest just before you step forwards. Okie dokie, let's do one more. We're gonna pull forwards, round that spine, look to your center. Step, lift the chest. Now, we are going to go, keep with that stretch for the back. If it doesn't feel good for you to work with that little moody cat variation, then just go keep the back where you keep the focus forwards and the back a bit more extended, yeah? So now we're going to go into the runner's lunge, okay? Still with this lunge flow. So we're going to round up, if you're choosing to do that variation. You're going to step, and then we're going to plant down those back toes onto the mat. You're going to lift up that back knee, and then from here you're going to rock the weight from the back toes to the front heel. For 4, rock it out. For 3, for 2, for 1, and then you're going to touch down that back knee and step or slide that front foot, long reaching puppy pose. Choose your variation, either keep the chest forward, the eyes forwards, or pull into that moody cat, round up, travel into the hands if you're doing that step, plant down through the back toes, lift up the back knee, and off we go. Lunge, rock it out from toes to front heel, back toes to front heel for 4, 3, 2, 1. Back knee touches down. Woo. Yeah, you're going to feel some work through the arms around your shoulder girdle because we're loading, right, through the upper body. 1 more of these on each side, por favor. You're going to choose what's happening in your back, rounded or just pull forwards. Classic lunge here. Then runner's lunge, back toes poke down, back knee lifts up, rock it out for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then back knee touches down. Release the toes, make sure you release the forefoot into the mat. Step back, one more time. Pulling forwards, either with a round back or a long back. Pull forwards, step, back toes down, back knee up. Off we go. Rock it out for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Back knee comes down. And then sit the hips into the heels. Have a little cheeky time out here. Hips to heels. Release the weight into the floor, into your child's pose. Cocooning into that stretch passively for the back. One more big breath in. And then rolling the spine up. Okay, now from here, we've done a lot of, quite a lot of spinal release. So we're gonna come and do sideline bike. You're gonna come to lie yourself down onto your side. And you can either bring that bottom hand to cup the back of the head, or you can just lie down ear into your top bicep. So from here, we go for the cycle ride, yeah? The cycle ride being when you stretch the leg forwards towards me, you pull the heel back. I need to adjust myself a little bit here. Back behind the hip and then bend the knee. Stretch, pull back. Now, I want you to really feel, bring your top hand and feel that maximus bum muscle, known as the gluteus maximus. Squeeze into your hand. So you're working that muscle, and then you're releasing that muscle as the knee bends towards your center. Stretch the heel forwards to the screen, pull back, squeeze, bend the knee up, stretch. Now let's talk about what's happening through the pelvis and the lower spine. At the moment, just keep your hip bones stacked and your spine in a more neutral curve. So no, not too much arching, not too much roundedness, but that halfway point between the arch and the round. You can cup your top hand, yeah, to your hip to feel the stability through the hip bones. And we're going to switch this up in a moment, but let's just go for 4. A little quicker. 3, pull the heel back. 2, 1. Now we're going to add that sort of cat movement, yeah? So letting the hips move forwards and back, letting the spine arch and round, okay? So as the heel comes behind the hip, let your abdomen, your chest, your ribs expand to the screen there, and the back arches. As you pull the knee up, reverse it, round back through the upper, middle, lower spine, and your hip bone will fall behind, the top hip bone will fall behind the bottom one. And you arch, inhale, and you exhale to flex. So as you move through this, it's like a sideline cat. You're going to feel a little massage into the bottom ribs, which I think feels quite nice. There is a whole floor massage for your spine series that I do, which is glorious. Maybe we will work with that next week. Let me know if that's of interest to you. So you're arching the spine as the heel pulls back. You're flexing the spine as your knee comes up towards you. You're building strength and tone around the side of the hip, the back of the hip, into the bum basically. You're going to go for 4. If it doesn't feel good like this, just go back to the stable hip, stable spine. 3, 2, but I quite like it. But each to their own body. Work with what feels good. Finish on your last one. And then we're going to reverse. So you're going to pull the heel forwards towards me, bend the knee back, and reach the heel down and away from the hip. Again, let's just rewind back to where your hip bones are stacked. Your tailbone of your spine is reaching towards the end of the mat. Your spine is stable. You're pulling the knee back towards you. We're reversing. You're stretching the heel down and forwards. Think about your nose stacking on top of your navel in this moment in time. Let's go for just a couple more here. And then we're going to add that cat, yeah? So as you pull the knee back, you're going to flex the spine. And then as the heel reaches behind you and then pulls behind you, the back arches. And then you pull and flex the spine, arch and lengthen the leg. As the leg comes forwards, that's when you begin, as the heel comes forwards, that's when you begin to flex your spine. The top hip bone falls behind the bottom hip bone. As the heel reaches behind you, you arch, you open up the chest, the ribs and the abdomen. So it's a bit more coordination. You can keep it a little slower if this is your first time doing this, I think it is, all of you. Or you can pick up pace. You can return back to that stable spine, stable hip setup that we had a moment ago, if that is more compatible for your body. Let's go for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then let's land down onto your back. And before we go to the second side, let's just come into a bit of a sneaky, happy baby. So knees wide and looking to 10 and 2 on the clock. Hands slide in towards the fronts of the ankles. Flex up through the heels. Push those elbows into your inner knees. That will open the groin, open the inner hips again here. And you can either stay with this and breathe here, or you can rock and roll across the back of the hip, lower back from shoulder to shoulder. It's quite nice massage again. Or you can just pause, whatever you prefer. Whatever feels best for you and your back and your hips especially. So we'll just go for a couple more sways or a couple more just static pause breaths. Okie dokie. And then just roll off to your right side, push your way up. And come on over to the second cycling side. So cupping the hand in the head or lying the arm long, whatever feels better for your neck. We're going to stretch the leg. We're going to reach it behind you. Pull the knee in towards you. Stretch the heel towards the screen. Pull back, squeezing that back bum cheek. Pull the knee in. Reach the leg forwards. Keeping this calm sense of stability now through that lumbo-pelvic region around the lower spine and your hips, yeah, at the moment. That is going to change. Something important to say is just keep the inner thigh of the top leg parallel, especially as you pull it in, parallel to the bottom inner thigh. Let's go for 4, stable hips and spine. 3, pull and squeeze, reach it forwards. 2. And now 1 option to stay with that or to add that side cat, which will introduce a bit of massage through the bottom ribs. Arching as the leg comes behind you. Rounding as the knee pulls up and reaching the heel away from your center. Let's go for just a couple more here. Wants to feel quite intuitive. If it doesn't feel good, just go back to the stable hips and spine setup. And then we're going to finish on the last one, and then you're going to reverse it. Stable hips, stable spine again here. Reverse that flow of the cycle ride, reach the leg behind you, pull it forwards, bend the knee back towards you. And a couple more in this direction. You're mobilizing your hip joint here as well, which is nice. We're moving through flexion and extension when it stretches back the leg. And especially good if you've been doing a lot of sitting down today, if you're working. Now, reverse it. You're going to bend, sorry, not reverse it. Now you add the motion. The motion is the lotion option, if you like that. Keeping the same direction we were going in. Excuse me. So you stretch and arch, pull and flex. Stretch and arch, pull the knee back and round your spine. Just 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so you might have felt around the side of the hip, the back of the hip, side of the thigh as well. Let's push ourselves up to standing. Not to standing quite yet. Let's come to number 4 stretch. Cross the ankle over the thigh. You can either take the foot into the elbow, cradle it there, or hand into the foot. Bit more demand through the hip if you choose to have the foot in the elbow. Otherwise, hand to the foot. And you're just going to lean into that top thigh. Few pulses in, stretching around that hip. And then you're just going to hold the stretch wherever you are. Pull into the legs, round over them, releasing the weight of the head. It will be a deeper stretch here, around the back of your hip, front leg. And then release out of that. Woo. And then let's change. It's gone really quick tonight. I'm not sure how that happened. So foot into the hand or foot into the elbow, a little stronger, and then just pulse in towards your legs. And then around over those legs and just accentuate a deeper stretch into the back of the hip. Hold it there. Releasing the weight of the head. And then release out of that. Come to stand. Just take a moment in your standing stance to finish up with. Just notice how you're feeling around the front, sides and back of your hips as you stand tall. Crown, wear your crown high, reaching it up towards the sky. Your tailbone long. And then reach the arms up. Inhale. And then exhale, bring one hand over the other. Press down, press down, press down. Centralizing our energy. One more time. Inhale, stretch tall. Bring the other hand on top. Press down, press down, press down. Exhale, we go down. Okay, wunderbar. That is another session done. Thank you, ladies. If you have any questions, queries, comments about this class, then feel free to reach out as ever. I hope everyone is doing well and staying sane, calm in these unconventional times that we're in. Please, if you know anyone that would like to join in on these Thursday night sessions, I always welcome new people. They don't need to have loads of experience. They just need to be open-minded to moving their body in the way that we move it. So please do refer them on. Let them know that this is happening on Thursday nights, or give them the information for your spine. Great. Thank you again, and I shall see you next week. Have a brilliant rest of this week and weekend. Take care. Bye.